Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Shema here on Help Me Out. Help Me Out. Okay. So I'm just popping in for a brief second, okay? Just to check in with y'all and give you an uplifting, positive perspective and positive word, okay? Um, so today I want to talk a little bit about jealousy and haters. Okay, jealousy and haters. What do you do with that? What do you do with them? Um, how do you use a different mindset or different tactics or ways of dealing with your haters? Um, and if you're familiar with my story, this conversation is for the real ones. This conversation for the real ones. Okay. Um, when I say the real ones, I mean those who are used to dealing with things with these right here. How do you deal with them, right? Let me move that. Okay, so I always like to use myself as an example, you guys, because everything that I teach and I go over with you guys and with my clients, it's not something that I just learned in a textbook or someone just told me. I also is some of this is a lot of it is experience. I walk through that thing, and the way my mind works, when I have something come against me, whether it's a spiritual battle, 9 times out of 10 it's a spiritual battle, or a physical battle, um, you got to know what to do and how to handle yourself. Okay, so what to do with your haters? First of all, you need to understand why they hating. A lot of times your haters ain't gonna tell you why they hating. And sometimes they will tell you why they hating. And they just can't pull it together. Sometimes they may want to say something, but instead of saying something, they'll do things like backbite, talk behind your back. You'll see betrayal. Um, because though they give this appearance that they like you, they're friends, they're family, we like this, you my dog, blood thicker than water, etc., etc., etc. The thing that I've learned that does not override that is when a person feels insecure in themselves, um, and they have jealousy. They have strife. Why do they have jealousy? Why do they have strife? It's bigger than just you know, they look at you and see you doing great things. It's bigger than, oh, you think he all that. She thinks she all that. It's bigger than that. What they're really saying is, I wish I could do that. I wish I had a thought of that. I wish I had that support. I'm mad because I don't have that and I don't know how to get it. Or either they know how to get it, but they're not willing to do the work that it took you to do to get there. Right? So when you come from backgrounds like me, okay, you come from the streets. You know what I'm saying? You grew up in all kind of abuse, neglect, domestic violence, and all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if you come from a family like, what I come from, like, there was domestic violence on both sides of my family, but my mom and my dad's side. But being a child that actually grew up in it, um, and not just that, seeing it with my aunts and seeing, I mean, it was so, I was swallowed up in it. It didn't matter which way I looked, which way I turned. I was swallowed up in it. And then me and my cousins, we growing up in it. So what do? We fight. We fight each other. We fight anybody who talk about us or anybody talk about them. And we just got through fighting our own kin. But if we talk about them, you can't talk about them. Oh, who that? Who she thinks she talking to? You know them back in the day. You ain't even got to say nothing. You looking at me funny. I'm just gonna walk up and slap. I'm gonna slap you. Okay. So when I say a real one, that's what I mean. A real one. Like 0 to 100. How do you change to handle that when people still want to test your gangster? What do you do when people still want to test your gangster? Okay. First of all, the way I did it was, of course, um, praying about it. Lord, I see these things about me. You know, I want to put these ways down, but people keep trying to test my gangster. They want to use your kindness for weakness. They take your humbleness and your humility for softness. They take that big smile and all them teeth showing like that. They take it for mediocrity. They take it for the wrong thing because they don't understand things. You know, things can look a lot the same, but they're not the same because there's a fine line. That fine line, a lot of people don't know when to stop before they cross that fine line, or how to get past that fine line to get to the results they're trying to achieve, right? So the fine line is learning who you are in Christ. I prayed about a lot of it, the things that I saw, and it required me to have to change the type of people that I had around me. I had to change that. And again, a real one. You want to change. You don't want to be around no nerds or sellouts or busters or whatever you want to call them. The people who are not cool in the cool crowd. But you can't stay in that crowd of let me lay hands on you and people who want to test your gangster and think that you're going to thrive in that environment and go to the level of the dimension that God has for you. Okay? We're talking about manage your emotions, understanding why people are jealous, or why people betray you, why people mistreat you, why people may even give you the silent treatment. Like I said, if you listen on some of my other videos, I talked about that. Once you get to a certain level of achievement, nobody's clapping hands for you no more. It starts to die down and get silent. Nobody's saying you did a good job. Hey, hey, hey. You're not doing that. They get silent. You know why? Because you're achieving things that they haven't. You're doing things that they didn't think you would, because the culture or the boundaries are, we stay behind this wall. We don't leave. We're this, and this is who we are, and this is what we do. And as soon as you choose to cross that boundary and go on beyond, that's when you're crazy. That's when you get betrayed. That's when ain't nobody got your back no more. Because they don't know how to flow in a different way of life, a way of living, a way of handling situations, which is God's way, which is really what it is. It's God's way. So people may it's hard for me, like when people take my humility or my kindness for weakness, not understanding my background and where I come from and the things that I've done. And I'm not going to confess all of my wrongdoings from the past and who this girl was back in the. You'll get a little bit if you read my book, What Future Me Told Past Me. You'll get some of my background. But for people who see me now and they come and they do these things to try to test my gangster because they want me to lay hands. And I don't mean lay hands on them like that. That's not the lay hands on I mean. Because they want me to lay hands on them. And I have a choice to make. All the work that God does with you to take you. So where did you start off at? Where are you today? Where did you come from? Where are you today? Where did you come from? So if you see me, Shema Ladd, who came from rough beginnings, went around slapping people, jacking people, doing stuff, just doing whatever I thought I was big and bad enough to do with my crew who was rolling with me, because we was all doing the wrong things. And then to see God change you, your mindset, from how you make your decisions. How do you choose the man that you date now versus to how I used to choose them? How do I conversate with my boss or another business owner when they're trying to come at me sideways in a business deal? or they're trying to come at me sideways about my pay or my hours. How do I handle that besides just walking off the job and leaving, cussing them out? Or taking my hands and laying hands on them because I don't care about the job. Before I leave this job, you're going to feel what I understand before I go. How do you move from that to continue to walk in humility? And I'll give you one hint, as the word says, when you submit to God and you walk with him and you stay in his ways, he will become an enemy to your enemies. You'll read that in the book of Psalm with David. You'll read that the last video I did with Daniel, talking about Daniel, because Daniel received the assignment of the Lord said, I will become an enemy to your enemies, right? And so when you understand that, not just I understand it because I read it, yeah, he'll become an enemy to my enemies, but no, when you know it for real, and it's a supernatural power that you cannot explain, but you know that is real because you can feel it. You feel it. So when you understand that he will become an enemy to your enemies because you've done the work on the inside, you've accepted his assignment for your life, you believe in what he's doing in your life, then you can stand on that. He'll become an enemy to your enemies because you're walking that straight and narrow path that he said is for you and for you to walk. And when you're obedient to that, it is powerful, and you get to see him become an enemy to your enemies. You will see it and you will hear about it, but don't gloat when you see it. Just smile and know the word is real and God meant what he said. He meant what he said. And you've heard my story too over the past year. My father passed, and his third wife betrayed me and my family, and did some ugly things. And so I had to learn, or I had to stop and say, how am I going to handle this? This person who's older than me, who's supposed to be leading and guiding and being a parent or some sort of a parent, now has betrayed me and is attempting to steal from me and tear apart my family. How do you? I had to know God's word. I understood what she put her hands on that she didn't understand herself, because I kept my eyes on the Lord. I know what God likes. I know what he don't like. I know what she did that offended God. And because I know that, because I've been working with him, I've been learning how to humble myself when people want to test my gangster. I've been learning how to eat my words when I've said something wrong or done something that might have offended or hurt somebody else. I've been learning how to take my pride and swallow it. I've been learning how to cry and shed my tears and allow the Lord to speak to my hurts and my heart and my spirit and soul. I've been learning how to watch him and be obedient, because not more than I want for myself, I want to know that what I pass on to my children spiritually is solid, and that I haven't done anything that's going to hinder the lineage that came out of my womb. And so I know. So when someone else does the opposite, the first thing you know is, ooh, 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 you know. So I get the satisfaction of watching and knowing that she's in misery while she's trying to hold on to unforgiveness, hatred, embarrassment, shame, humiliation, all these things that she's carrying that she don't have to. But when you choose to worship the devil and practice witchcraft, when you choose to walk away from God, I know. That's how you will know the Lord has become an enemy to your enemies. Because you'll see them and they can't sleep. You see them and their mind ain't right. You see them and their decision making is falling off. You hear them, they trying their hardest to keep together, but they won't be able to, because who they're coming against is not you. It's the Lord. So when somebody wants to test your gangster and you want to lay hands on them in the name of Jesus, stop and go inside yourself. What is God saying to your soul? And that's hard to speak. That's hard to do because in reality, you want a right now answer. You want a right now solution. And it might not be right now. It may be a long game. You might have to wait a year or two. Not saying that their suffering is going to take 2 years. It'll probably be immediate, depending on what exactly they did. But that's how you hold your humility. Because if the Lord says, vengeance is mine, and you will get your just reward. How do you look past that boss, or that business owner? Okay, for the boss, you got to understand who put you on that job in the first place. There's two things to look at. One is that where you're supposed to be. And that could be a transitional period. Because if you haven't identified who you are, what your gifts are, what your talents are, most likely you're working at a job that's not really for you because you're miserable being there. You don't want to be there, and you just need a paycheck, and you got to pay your bills. But that's not really what you're called to do. You can feel it because you're irritated all the time. You go to work late and you leave early. Okay, but so that's one thing. You know, you may be at a job you're really not supposed to be at, but you're there because you haven't found out who you are yet, and you haven't found out what your calling is. So if you're tired of working a job, get to working and find out what your calling is, what God called you to do, what your purpose is, and everything will start to release and change. I promise you. The other part is maybe you do understand your calling. You do understand what you're called to do, but you're still learning. You're still transitioning. Okay? Because example, I knew I was never meant to work a job because I was the one getting there early, leaving late. Always complaining. The money was never enough. It was never right. And I knew I was not called to work a 9 to 5, making $10 to $15 an hour for the rest of my life. I knew I wasn't called to do that. Even if I was making $100,000 a year, a 9 to 5 ain't for me. Like everyday, repetitious, that ain't for me. So I had to look at who am I? I had to first look at my parents. Look at your parents. And then I had to look at myself. And so the biggest factor in my life was my father. And my father is multi-talented. His hand is in some of everything. So, I mean some of everything. He's the firefighter. He's in the real estate. He's on arcades. He's on body repair shops. Some of everything. Some of everything. Well, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So I was used to seeing my dad go around collecting rent checks from tenants and hunting. You know, we were always in activities, hunting, water skiing, snow skiing, horseback riding, ATVing, we did everything. So it made sense why I couldn't work a 9 to 5 job consistently like that. I had no peace. So I started praying about that, and God structured my life. He structured how I work, how I make my income, and I'm like my father. My hand is in everything. Everything. I'm not a celebrity, but I live the life of one. Truly. Okay, so it may be one day I'm taking care of a client, teaching life skills, behavioral support, whatever, special needs training, whatever. The next day, okay, I am somewhere shooting a commercial or on a television set or a movie set. Okay, next day maybe I'm modeling. I'm walking a runway, doing whatever, or I'm working on my own stuff, my own music, my own videos, or maybe I'm writing a manuscript for my next book. or I'm traveling because I'm meeting one of the couples that I help to connect and get married, or, it's so many things. Or maybe I decide to post up in the spa because I want to do nails, manis and pedis for the year or for the next 6 months or whatever. So my money comes from so many different directions, so many different sources. And I'm happy doing it because, again, today I might be on the lake like I am today, Lake Austin, right off the lake, and enjoying the scenery and enjoying the family and enjoying the beauty and my wonderful Christmas gift. And it's the best part because a lot of my clients, they always want to show their appreciation. And so they always, gift something. And I give my clients back in return. And then the next day, I'm not on Lake Austin. I'm in the hill countries of Austin, up in Lakeway, watching deers walk past me that I can literally touch. And the next day I'm on a boat somewhere, or I'm on a plane going here, or whatever. But it all fits who I am. I enjoy what I do, whether I'm doing somebody's nails, making them fly for whatever, whether I'm doing a commercial shoot and I get to dress up however they want me to dress up, which is always fun. And I get free meals and free perks, or I'm here, maybe I'm coaching someone on, some marital issues, relationship issues. That brings me fulfillment. So when you understand why you're placed on a job and what your purpose is, you can let things pass. I'm only here on this job, not because I want to be, because God put me here. I have to learn my lesson, and I have to be obedient. He want me dealing with these ugly people that I want to lay hands on, but I'm learning how to walk with God, even through the hard times I don't like, because he got a reward for me. You get it? Do you get it? So, and sometimes I feel that way. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm not a people person. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people too much. I don't like being around people like that. I really don't. Unless I'm performing. And then I don't really have to. I might talk to people a little bit afterwards, but you're not going to see me. I'm out to the next project or the next whatever I need to get myself together and wind down for the next assignment that I'm going to do. But when you understand your purpose and your reason for why you are where you are, whether it's on a job, whether it's you don't have a job and you stuck in somebody's house because you can't afford to pay your own rent. Okay, you're not just there for a reason. One, you're there because God provided that for you so you wouldn't be sleeping on the street in a shelter on a car. That was his provision. Be grateful for his provision. And when you show gratitude, it opens the door for your next conversation with him, the next level where he wants to do with you next. But learn your lessons. Take your assignments with grace, even though it don't feel good. Remember what I said about the bitter and the sweet. They come together. It's not just going to be all sweet, and it's not just going to be all bitter. They come together. So learn to show gratitude and recognize God when he's showing up in your circumstances. That is how you keep from laying your hands on people in the ungodly way. That's how you get past people who don't appreciate you, or they look at your humbleness or your kindness as weakness. Because it is nothing for me to lay my hands on somebody and pull out some of them TKO moves from the 90s. It's nothing for me to pull out some of them old moves to do some things. Like, it's, how do you say it? You can take the girl out of Vegas, but you can't take the Vegas out the girl. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be there. But I've made a different choice to walk a certain way. And because I care about my relationship with him, and that's what I put first, I'm able to overlook the offenses, the ignorance, the stupidity, the betrayal, the greed. I'm able to overlook that to a certain extent. Now, somebody trying to do my father in on the end, I can't too much look past that too far. So you'll probably hear me talk about that years to come until that third wife, God does something with her heart, or until she confesses and comes clean. She's gonna hear it for the rest of her life. So the vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will become an enemy to your enemies. And not necessarily that she's my enemy, but because I walk for the Lord, because my grandmother prayed over me, because I am truly covered and anointed and God truly has a plan for my life, like a serious one, she didn't understand when she was interrupted. And so now she is an enemy of the Lord because he is an enemy to my enemies. And I hope that makes sense to y'all. And that's a spiritual, natural shift. Um, but you guys, I have something coming up for the guys, for the fellas, because I'm a life coach, so I always break down everything: behavioral, cognitive, um, psychobehavioral type. Um, yeah, you see me doing it. It's my thing, y'all. I've been this way since I was born. It's my thing, okay? So I've done a lot of studying, researching, mentoring, breaking that stuff down to see where is that? Where is that mindset? What is that? And a lot of it again is connected to jealousy. But for the fellas, I have broken that down, and I will be putting together a pamphlet and doing a teaching for fathers specifically, men specifically, because now that I've experienced what it's like to have your father marry someone who's not your biological mother, who doesn't have children in your family with your parent, to disrespect my father and his family after the end of his life, and then try to comb through my inheritance and be left to deal with a woman who's not my mother and doesn't have any kids with my father, but wants to take my inheritance and dangle it and try to control me. And you guys know, as a life coach, you can't control someone who teaches people, and mentors people. You just can't. So I'm putting together a teaching, and I will be giving signs for you men to look for before you get involved with, or put someone in control over your household who does not have children with you. And I got some, I had to go back and look at all the signs. All the way back, they met when I was about 14 years old and hooked up, started. I had to go back and look at all the signs: 14, 15, 16, 17. Things that I noticed, but I didn't take it personal. I didn't, but now I'm like, that's what that was. That's what that was. And as a daddy's girl, um, yeah, I'm gonna put that together just for the guys. It'll be like a pocket pamphlet, like a checklist, just to make sure that you're making the right decision on who you choose. Because now I'm left dealing with somebody who I don't have to deal with. I shouldn't have to deal with her. It'd be different if she was nice and kind and cared and did things correctly. Allowed the family time to go through their father's belongings, grieve. If she was that kind of person, then we would probably continue on a mother-daughter relationship. But since she's not, I'm left to literally deal with someone, my father's widow. Though he wrote a trust, but still, I got all the red signs, the red flags. I'm going to put that together for the fellas. And my dad was a firefighter, so I will definitely make sure this pamphlet is available for free, in fire stations across the Vegas Valley area, as well as the Austin, Texas area. Um, especially fathers who have property, who have money. You plan on leaving your kids things. I have some big red flags for you guys to look at. My dad was with this woman for 32, 33 years. I did see it coming. I was young. But now that I know what the red signs are, fellas, I got something good coming for you. This is really to help protect your family, protect your inheritance, protect you from making mistakes that could cost you, that could cost your family when you are gone. So stay tuned for that. But I hope this video helped you guys on how to deal with your haters when they start hating, when they don't want you to succeed, when they trying to stop you, betrayal, when they try to slander your name. I went through all of that, y'all. I went through all of that. Tried to slander my name to my own blood and family to make me look like I was crazy or like I was hungry for my own inheritance that rightly belonged to me. So it was just crazy watching the whole thing. But I got all the red signs for y'all. And so, till the next time, love y'all on Help Me Out. Nope. Don't lay your hands on them. And I don't mean this hands. Bye, y'all.